Hey, what's going on, troops? Percy here, changing mindsets, changing situations, your certified life coach. But hey, guys, check it out. Remember the last video I did? I said, hey, I'm breaking these videos down. I'm sure sharing a lot of great information with you. Well, guys, I really want you to pay attention to what Mr. Dan Putnam is fixing to be sharing. Some of you may have went through this through the years and probably still may be going through it now, and you will see why he done what he done. And guys, it's just very powerful information. So many people say they want to be financially free and successful. They would love to become a millionaire. Well, guys, the bottom line is this. What's the best way to become a millionaire? Learn from one. So this is my mentor, like I say, a very awesome guy. You really need to listen to what he says. He's going to break down some numbers for you. He's going to show you how to do it in a short period of time. I'm just excited for you to watch this. So check it out. Like I say, watch it to the end. You're going to get a lot of great information from this. Grab your piece of paper. You may even want to take notes on this. I promise you will like this. So here we go. Check it out. See you at the end.
Things I can do, like a 5-minute training to unlimited training. So I'll try and keep this on point. But what I really want to focus on is I want to tell you a little bit about my background, a little bit about my story, and how I ended up here in Greensboro today. But I got introduced to the network marketing of the home-based business industry when I was 18 years old, back in February of 1993, just about to turn 19 when I was a freshman in college. Now, I was actually living in a dorm room at college, and one of my friends said, hey, do you want to come and listen to these people and find out how to make some extra money? And probably like most college students, I was like, sure. I had no clue what it was. I went to a small hotel room, probably about 20 or 30 people there, and the person that was presenting happened to be a very successful entrepreneur, making well over $100,000 per month. Now, at that time, I was just thinking, maybe $2,000 or $3,000 a month after I graduate would be pretty good back in the early 90s. But they basically went through the presentation, and it was probably about 20 minutes into it that the light bulb kind of went off. And I thought, man, I really want to do this. I think this is something that I could do. Now, I grew up in Wyoming. Anybody been to Wyoming before? No, Wyoming is not very similar to North Carolina. Wyoming is very cold, very small. 500,000 people in the entire state. The city that I lived in was 28,000, and that's the third biggest in all of Wyoming. So Wyoming is a little bit different in that area, but my parents had furniture stores. So they had a furniture store in Rock Springs, furniture store in a town called Pinedale, and a small little outlet store in a town called Evanston. And so I grew up kind of understanding entrepreneurship, understanding being a business owner, and really understanding the pros and the cons of that. One of the cons is all the infrastructure. The infrastructure is the employees, all the inventory, the buildings, all of these different types of things. So when I was sitting there at 18 years old, I said, man, this is awesome. This is the ability to start your own business and have somebody else take care of all the infrastructure. And nobody's going to ask you what your skill set is, what your beliefs are. They're not going to say, are you the smartest in your class? Because here's one thing that I learned in college. No matter how smart you are, no matter how good you are, there's always people that are just as smart or just as good or even better. So if you want a good job, which is what Boomy said, the reason you go to school is to do what? Get a good job, right? So to get a good job, do you think it's competitive or not competitive? So what I found is how things really work. There's a lot of qualified people, so in most cases, who gets the job is whoever's brother-in-law works there, brother works there, cousin works there, uncle works there. It's very difficult. So I said, why don't I take this into my own hands, not have to worry about getting a job, and actually have a business that I can create unlimited leverage, and nobody but myself is going to say, you can do it, you can't do it, you don't qualify, you're not smart enough, you're not the right this, you're not the right that, you don't have a good enough degree, your grades weren't good enough. This gives anybody the ability to make their own decisions with their own life. And so I thought, hey, here's the deal. I'm going to be in school for the next 4 years. I'm going to give this everything I have while I'm in school. And my hopes wasn't to become a millionaire, to make all this money, or to do something like that. My hopes was very simple. I wanted to make enough money, that spare time money, that extra income, so that I could actually get a job doing something that I wanted to do, not necessarily something that paid the type of money that I wanted to make. So when I went to school, my dreams from literally almost a toddler was to be a professional athlete. I still love sports. It's kind of what I do. If I wasn't here, I'd be waiting for college football to start, and I'd be watching all the college football games. Saturday, Sunday, I watch too much football, and if it wasn't football, it'd be some other sport, hockey, whatever. And so that's really what I had wanted to do, but when I went to school, I realized one thing. Everybody who's a college athlete is pretty good. So almost all of these people are the best in their high school or the best in their state and stuff like that, especially growing up in a small state like Wyoming. You don't necessarily have the cream of the crop of the athletes to go. There's obviously some professional athletes from Wyoming, but there's not a lot of them. So I realized early on it's probably not going to happen for me. So I started to think, what would I like to do? I thought, I'd like to work in sports, so maybe, what could I do? Maybe coach. But most of the time, coaching starts at the high school level, and then if you're lucky, you can move up and move up and move up. And most high school coaches are what? Are teachers, right? How much money does a high school teacher make?
Not much.
Not much. It's kind of, it's not a horrible life, but it's a little bit of a struggle. And so I just thought, man, if I could make an extra $2,000 or $3,000 a month, by the time I graduate, then I could actually do something that I want to do. Right. So that was kind of my whole drive. That was kind of what drove me to build the business when I didn't feel like it, or to keep pushing when it wasn't working, and all those different types of things. I had my sponsor was a friend from high school. He quit the business within probably about 60 days. But instead of quitting, I decided I'm just going to keep pushing. I'm going to keep pushing and just find out. So I started going upline to find some people that were serious. And I had some people that I still kind of call as my mentors to this day. And one of the things that they really emphasized to me is you have to create your why. Your why can't just be to make a little bit of extra money. It can't just be to this. And I was really hesitant to actually sit down and think about it and write my why down on paper. I thought, oh, that's stupid. It doesn't make, you don't need to do that. It's not that big of a deal. I already know I want to make money. I'm going to do tell me what to do, I'll do it. That's kind of what I thought. But after weeks and weeks of them calling me every day and asking me, hey, do you have your why? All this information, I finally wrote it down. And my why, I still remember this day. My why was I always want to work for passion, never for a wage. Meaning, I always wanted to do something that I didn't dread getting up in the morning to go do. And so that was the why. That was why I was going to be pushing my business and talking to people and doing all of these things when all my other friends were just out having fun. And every time I got discouraged, I thought of that why. At that time, the average school teacher in Wyoming, which I was just going to school in Utah to get my degree, go back to Wyoming. I'm a country boy, small town, that's what I like, that's what I still like. And it's just kind of, I don't like the crowds, I don't like the traffic, I don't like waiting a half hour, an hour, or 2 hours to be seated at a restaurant. I just like go, open space. If you want to shoot guns in your backyard, you can. If you want to let off fireworks, you can. You don't have all these different types of things that you typically have in the city. So I was thinking, at that time, the average school teacher in Wyoming, I think, had paid about $21,000 per year. So $21,000 per year is not a horrible income, but it's not a really great income either. You're going to need to sustain it. So my whole thing is, I was thinking, man, if I could just make an extra $3,000 to $5,000 per month, then I could do that. And so that was my whole drive of the business. Now, a couple things changed. As Boomy said, within my first 6 months, I didn't even earn a commission check. By the end of my first year, I was averaging about $100 to $200 per month. By the end of my second year, I was about $800 to $1,000 per month. And then it, continued to grow from there. But after I graduated in 1996, I did, just like I said, I moved back to Wyoming. And I thought everything was going good. Had a couple companies go out of business. I'm not going to go into much detail on that. But by the year around 1999, I was pretty much just tired of the industry, not really wanting to do a whole lot. And I actually took my first job outside of working for my parents with a company called Blue Cross Blue Shield of Wyoming. Anybody ever hear of Blue Cross Blue Shield? Yeah. Right. So I was a district manager and worked just in selling small group insurance. My very first year with that company, I sold more groups than had ever been sold in the state. I got most group contracts, most individual contracts, and got the district manager of the year. Made decent money that year. And then the very next year, all they did is basically double the quotas, make it that I have to do that much work again to make less money than I did before. And I started to think, this doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but something did happen to me. And I always think that sometimes things happen for a reason. I never had health insurance or anything like that as a, going to college and then after college. Being with Blue Cross, they had benefits. And in 2000, I was struck by lightning and actually died. So one of those situations that I kind of look as a life-changing experience. So I, after work is about 5 p.m., it had been rainy that day, and I don't know, again, nobody's been in Wyoming, but I'll tell you, it's very windy, at least in Rock Springs, almost every day. It's not uncommon for the wind to be blowing 20, 30, 40 miles an hour, almost every day. And that's one of the reasons it's so cold in the winter. You go down to 0 degrees, then you add 20, 30, 40 mile an hour wind, and all of a sudden you have 50 or 60 below zero with the wind chill. So a lot of times after the rain, it calms down. It's some of the nicest time, and smells good, all that right after the rain. So I had some friends that called asked if I wanted to go golfing. So I said, sure. Went out to the golf course, and actually I don't even remember any of this. I just know that it happened because there was witnesses of it happening. And so I went to the golf course, and on the second hole, it was raining earlier, it wasn't even raining at the time. Rain came in, I got struck by lightning, and I died on the spot. So no heartbeat, no breathing, nothing. My friend started CPR. They said when they were doing compressions, there was smoke coming out of my eyes, ears. And what's also interesting is there's only one hole on the entire golf course that is by a road. All the rest is in from a road, and that's the second hole. The fire truck was the first to get there. They saw a crowd, so they stopped because they called the golf course to find out where the person who got struck by lightning was. They didn't even know anybody got struck by lightning. So they see a crowd, they come over, and they had just got a defibrillator that week. Nobody had even used it before. Now, one of the things with defibrillators, if it's raining, you really can't use it because the water is going to conduct the electricity. It's not going to give a really good shot. But nothing else was working, so they got the defibrillator. They ran several series and burned my chest really bad because, again, it's just shocking, but the water is burning. I used to always wear a silver chain, a link chain. And you probably can't see it that good from the audience, but it's still branded all the way through my neck. So anyways, obviously, they resuscitated me with the defibrillator and took me to the hospital, and then I actually came to much later in Salt Lake. Didn't know where I was, didn't know what happened, anything like that. So I did the light flight. I didn't even get to experience that, but I did one thing. I was very thankful at that time that I was working for Blue Cross Blue Shield because I had very good health insurance, and that was a very expensive ordeal, but it also got me thinking. And what it got me thinking about is life. And a lot of times in life we take it for granted. Yes. I mean, I had no clue, never even crossed my mind that making that call from my buddies and going golfing could be the last experience I ever have on earth. Nobody really knows what's going to happen. So I started thinking about life, and what I really started thinking about is, what am I doing with my life? What is life all about? If I died that day, what would I have done?
Would I be sad?
Just kind of almost nothing. I had made some money and did a few things, but I never really left anything. Never really created anything. And so I really started to think, I want to do something. And what I'm passionate about is helping other people. And I'm passionate about leverage and income and business and all of these different types of things. So that's really what got me thinking, because my frustrations with the network marketing industry wasn't what people talk about in a meeting, wasn't the potential, wasn't the ability for anybody, regardless of their skill set, their background, their experience, to determine their own worth. It was the model that companies had created. It didn't make sense to me. I'm a very systematic person. I create strategies and I follow those strategies, and that's what I do. If something doesn't make sense to me, it's very difficult for me to keep doing it. It's very difficult for me to really push, and there's so many things about the industry that didn't make sense. And I thought, man, if I could create something or get a company to put something together that made more sense, I think a lot more people would have success. So in 2002, I came up with a concept. I'm not going to get into all that detail because we don't have time. But in 2002, I went and met with 5 companies. And if you can imagine, at that time, 28 years old. So I was 28 years old, had done very well in the network marketing industry. By the time I'd built organizations of hundreds of thousands of distributors. And I literally went to 5 companies. And my conversation with the owner was basically this: your model sucks. It's not going to sustain long term. I have a better way. What I would like you to do is start a new division. But what I said to them is I said, I'll fund it. I'll fund the entire division. But I don't necessarily want to run a company. So I wasn't looking for money from them. I wasn't looking for something like that. I was looking for them to say, hey, let me explain what I feel is a better model. In fact, what I feel is the best model, which is kind of what Boomy had talked about already, which is having products that you believe in and allowing people to get started for as little as just a sample of that product. That's the $14.95 that you saw. Make unlimited income with just any one product. Even though we have bonuses built around the car bonus packs and we give better value of the products if you buy more than one, you can make unlimited income with just a $39.95 product and refer just another person to that and refer another person to that, etc., etc. Most companies are not that way. Most companies you have to do 100 CV, not dollars, 100 CV just to qualify. That's after you've already paid the distributor kit and all of that. Then you have to jump up to 200 or 300 CV in order to build the business. So it's nothing like, let's say that I love the tea. I'll tell just a really quick story on that tea. I got introduced to that tea and Dr. Miller in 2008. Since then, with companies that I set up, we've sold over $1 billion with a B of that tea. $1 billion. That tea alone is life-changing. So let's just talk about that for a second. Our business model is I find out about a product, I take that product, and I like it. And I tell somebody else about that product, and they purchase the product, and they take it, and they like it. And they tell somebody else about it, and they take it, and they like it. That's the model that I thought of back in 2001, that I started to take to these companies in 2002. I'd go to a company that have a flagship product. Said the model should be this. I buy your flagship product, I like the product, I tell somebody about it, they buy it, they like it. They tell somebody, they buy it, they like it. That should be the business. Does that make sense? Yeah. That's not the business of network marketing. Why do you think a lot of people have a negative perception of the business? Because of the leverage, because of the opportunity, or because of the model that these companies have created over the last 60 or 70 years? I think it's been the model. If it's just a product that people like and you simply buy that product and refer that product and they refer it and they refer it and you can make unlimited income, I don't think that it would have that negative perception, that pyramid scheme, this, that, and the other. And so I thought the reason that maybe 7 or 8 or 9 out of 10 people have a negative perception is the model, not the business. That's why I'm so passionate about getting these companies to change the model. And why I had the confidence to sit across the owners and say, I don't care how much business you've done, the model makes no sense. And actually out of 5 companies, 2 of them agreed with me. And so since then, since 2002, I've helped launch 12 divisions of companies. 4 of those 12 have reached over 100 million per year in sales. That puts them in about the top 200 companies in the world for network marketing. So we know what it takes to go out and create a $100 million brand or even beyond. And that's exactly what we're going to do here at Lure Life, and you have the opportunity to participate. So I'm going to skip a lot of this presentation because Boomy called and told me what she wanted me to do is just kind of focus on the training I didn't know before. So we have a corporate presentation that we kind of do. So I'm going to kind of skip through. You'll see a lot of the different things that Boomy said. Obviously, talking about Lure Life, it does mean Earth. Our whole concept is just getting more back to the basics. And we're going to discuss this a little bit later. But the global weight loss market is $672 billion. Now, we're not necessarily, I wouldn't say we're a weight loss company. I think we're more of a performance-based company. We're trying to create products that help you perform better as a human being. Better as a dad, better as a mom, better as a grandma, better as a grandpa. All of these different things, better as a student, better as an athlete, better as whatever it is that you do. We want to provide the nutrition and the products to help you do better. And so that's really what the company is all about. But this is a big niche market that you can participate in. And the reason I like this market so much is most of the people already want to lose the weight.
Yes.
So we can show them, and most of the people kind of already know what to do, but they kind of need that little boost.
Yep.
And so we basically, with this Healthy Lifestyle Challenge, we put together 5 pillars. First thing you got to do is get your mind right. That's the psychology. The second thing is diet. The third thing is exercise. The fourth thing is supplementation. The supplements that we have will greatly assist people to lose weight, but they're not necessarily just weight loss products. As Boomy said, a lot of the people that are in great shape will still take the coffee every single day. We'll still do LureFit. So here's what's interesting. I've talked to some people that are athletes that do CrossFit every day and different things like that, and they're in great shape. They're like, you need to come out with more fitness products. You need to come out with pre-workouts and post-workouts and protein and all of this. And I said, here's the thing. All a pre-workout is a weight loss product marketed to somebody in the gym. Take LureFit and compare. I'll put that against any pre-workout on the market.
Yeah, it's a good capsule.
And that's the whole thing. We call it LureFit as opposed to a pre-workout because we're not marketing only to people at the gym. And I'll put Thrive against any NO2 booster on the planet. These NO2 boosters that they'll charge $89 or $99 for at GNC, at the Pro Shops and Golds and stuff like that, most of them have like 1 gram of L-arginine, which is one of the best nitric oxide boosters, and that's what most of them have. So we have 5 grams, so 5 times the amount of L-arginine. They don't even have L-citrulline in most of those products. Some of them do, but they have like 200 milligrams, 250 milligrams. You really need 1,000 or 1 gram in order to get the best benefit of the L-arginine.
Wow.
But they've also seen that there's some better nitric oxide boosters. L-arginine's 20-year-old technology. Now there's beet extract that they've seen works a completely different way, but actually helps the body create nitric oxide also. And then there's agmatine sulfate, which is actually what L-arginine and L-citrulline break down to, so we're eliminating that step. So at the Thrive, we don't just have L-arginine and L-citrulline, we also have agmatine sulfate, we also have beet extract, we also have many, many other things. So Thrive is one of the best products that anybody could take to get that bit better pump while they're working out, to get the blood flowing to the muscles. That's why they take in NO2 boosters to get a better pump to the muscles. And then one of the best recovery products that you could ever have that even has studies, the reason that the U.S. Olympic swim team and many professional teams and stuff like that have used O2 for so long is because of the recovery studies. So one of the best ways you can recover after a workout and get those cells to repair and regenerate, which is what's happening, you're tearing the muscle fibers down. Those muscles to get stronger, what they're doing is they're repairing and regenerating. In order to do that, they need oxygen. So again, we have absolutely incredible products for all types of things. They're not necessarily just weight loss products, but what I can guarantee you is that they will assist and you will do better than diet and exercise alone. Yeah. Everybody thinks that, well, to lose weight is diet and exercise. It's part true. But people have to understand stress, hormones, all different things like that create an enormous factor. You can actually be at a calorie deficit and gain weight. Most people try and make it simpler than it is. They try and make it think that just eat less and exercise more. That's part of it, but it's not all of it. And again, it's that psychology, getting your mind right. It's the exercise, it's the diet, it's the supplementation, and then it's the accountability. So we'll talk a little bit more about that. later. But again, this is just the concept of imagine being a business that provides solutions. We're going to skip through the product. She did an awesome job on that. Now what I'm going to talk about is just literally the training. And I'll go through this pretty quick because it's very easy. Now I want you to remember, if you don't remember anything else, I'm going to talk about what I believe are the two absolutely most important things for success in life. Number one is your own beliefs. I heard a story from a guy one time, and he said a human being's number one superpower is their expectations. Have you ever thought about that? Think about it just for a second. Your number one superpower as a human being is your expectations, and you can use it for good or you can use it for bad. If you expect to fail, if you don't think you're going to have success, what typically happens? You realize how you talk to yourself, no matter what you tell yourself, if it hasn't already happened, is 100% a lie. Anything you tell yourself is a lie because it hasn't happened.
Right.
So why in the world would you ever say something negative? Right? Does that make any sense at all? If it's not true what you say, why would you ever say something negative?
Right.
So just that expectation, starting to think that you're going to succeed, starting to plan to succeed, starting to everything you're thinking about is success. Your personal beliefs is one of the number one most important things that I could ever talk about in any training. And I also think that it's very interesting. One of my favorite sayings, or one of the favorite things that I think about constantly, what's ironic about life, is how people have these beliefs, or they think they have these beliefs, and then they start to doubt them. What makes you doubt these beliefs? Lack of success, not going as fast, not going the way that you think. So then what does that create? That creates doubts. And then what starts to happen? You start to believe your doubts. Does that make any sense?
Yeah.
So we doubt our beliefs, and we believe our doubts. And again, this is what most people do. But I think if you're going to go talk to the most successful people, I don't care who it is, I bet you almost every single one of them believe their beliefs. I'm a huge UFC fan. And I'm not necessarily, it's kind of changed a little bit. I'm not that big of a Conor McGregor fan anymore. But I'll tell you one thing about him. He believed his beliefs from the time he was a kid. He wasn't successful. 4 or 5 years ago, did anybody ever hear of him? He was dead broke. No money at all. He was working as a plumber apprentice. And he's driving a broken down car, didn't even work most of the time. And now what is he? He's made hundreds of millions of dollars. Did he do it because he, doubted his beliefs? Do you think people believed that he could do that? Do you think his friends believed he could do it?
No.
They definitely didn't. So again, one of the most important things for every single person in this room is, again, your beliefs, your expectations, and trusting those beliefs and not doubting those beliefs. And so that's the first thing I'll say. The second thing I'll say is consistency is king in business. There's a book. I actually haven't read it. I'm going to. One of my friends recommended it, and it says consistency is the new currency. So if you haven't read that, I have not read it. I'm going to read it. It's on my list, but it makes sense to me. Consistency is the new currency. Now, think about this for a second. Doesn't matter what it is, what skill set. My wife got her master's degree in piano performance, so she's a musician. Do you think that if she quit after 1 month of practice, she'd be good at the piano or any instrument? Again, as I said, I love sports. My first love was hockey. Do you think if has anybody ice skated here? When you put the ice skates on, you feel super stable. You start to realize that your ankles aren't that strong. You're a little wobbly. So if you just gave up after like 1 or 2 weeks or going ice skating 1 or 2 times, are you going to be good enough to participate in hockey? Now, once you get the skating down and you try and hit a slap shot, you try and do all of that, are you going to pick that up right away?
No.
Of course not. You think Tiger Woods, the very first time he got a golf club, was amazing at it? or any other golfer or anybody with anything. First basketball shot that Michael Jordan ever shot. How did they become great? Practice and what? Consistency. If they just practiced once a month, even if they practiced all day long, 10 hours a day, once a month, would they be as good as they are?
No.
They definitely wouldn't, because every month you're kind of starting over again. You're forgetting all the things that you worked on last month. It's consistency. And the number one thing in network marketing, if you want to be successful, isn't how many hours you work, it isn't how hard you work, it's how consistent you work. It's doing it every single day. So what I'm going to talk about is the ability to build a business in your spare time through consistency and through your beliefs. And that's really what makes the difference. Because results take time to measure. That's unfortunate. That's why a lot of people aren't as successful as they could be, because they don't see the results instantly. If I gave everybody a theory here right now, I'll ask one quick question. Who would like $10,000 cash if there was one string attached? Would you at least want to know what that string was?
Yes.
Okay, so $10,000 cash, one string attached. Here it is. You need to go find 2 people in the next hour, not the next week, not the next 2 weeks, not the next 3 weeks or month or 2 months, in the next hour that also want $10,000 in cash. Could you do that?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Do you think they could do it?
Yeah.
Could they find 2 people in an hour?
Yes.
If I was giving you the $10,000 right now, right?
Right.
And they could do it, and they could do it. You realize by the end of your first 10 hours, you'd have already made over $100,000. By the end of your first day, you'd have already made over $1 million. So why can't you do it? We put money in your e-wallet that same day. You could literally do that in our company today. You could make $100,000 if you found 2 people in an hour and duplicated it. And it would be in your e-wallet and it would be in your checking account by next week. So why can't you do it? Everybody says, I can go find 2 people an hour that want to make $10,000. And they can find 2 people an hour that want to make $10,000. But they don't do it, right? Because you don't believe it. And also, because typically, without everybody duplicating it, even if I find my 2 people in an hour, if they don't, and they don't, and they don't, then it doesn't work.
Yeah.
One of the hardest things about network marketing is it's not about you. It doesn't matter how good you are. It's about that consistency, and it's about teaching others, and it's about working with other people. That's the frustration. So I'm going to go through the system. It's very simple. What we do is we invite people. We're not necessarily salespeople. We're not presenters. We invite people. What do we invite them to? We invite them to things like sizzle calls, videos, conference calls. That's what we invite them to. We invite them to look at a tool. We don't invite them to have us present it, because if I have to present the business, then I have to teach other people how to be presenters. Right. Is that easy or hard? Hard. It's hard. It's not hard to teach people to be inviters. It's hard to teach people to be presenters. So what all we do is we invite people. What do we invite them to? We invite them to any tool. It doesn't matter the tool. It can be a sizzle call, it can be a video, it can be a conference call, any of those. And then the next step is, once they've seen it, you typically go to that second step, which is validation. Because they kind of see the information, they may have a few questions or something like that. So now we want to validate it. We validate it again, maybe a Zoom call with the upline leader, Zoom call with somebody. We can do it with a 3-way call, we can do it with the call center. And then that's basically the sales process. We invite people, we use validation if needed, and that's the enrollment process. Now, what I'm going to talk about is, I think people have a misperception of what it actually takes to build a massive organization. Would you think in your mind that you could make $100,000 next year, or way more than that, by working no more than 3 or 4 hours a week and having no more ever than a 1% close rate? Would you think that that's what it takes to make a 6 or 7 figure income in network marketing? Probably not. Most people think you have to be energetic, you have to be a great presenter, you have to be this, you have to be that, you have to be like Boomy. Or those are skill sets that people can have or they don't have to have.
Right.
And Boomy being energetic and personality and a great presenter and all of that really doesn't give her any advantage over anybody else. Because no matter how good Boomy is, it still takes an entire team. And so that's something that for me early on was extremely frustrating about network marketing. Because it didn't take me that long, not that I was good, I think it was more just I went through a lot of numbers. It didn't take me that long before I signed up people, and I could sign up people all the time. But it was very difficult for me to get them to do it. And I think a lot of it was they didn't know exactly what to do. So I started asking people a question. I started to say if they weren't having success, I'd say, are you not having success because you're not willing to do anything, or because you don't really know exactly what to do? Most people said, well, I don't really know exactly what to do. So I'd say, if I told you exactly what to do, and you could do it in no more than an hour to 2 hours a day, would you do it? Most people say, yes, I would, but they still don't, right? But if they have somebody to hold them accountable, and they have a team, and they have a partner, and they have a mentor, then there's a better chance that they'll do it. Because I'll tell you right now, my sponsor wasn't any good. As a friend of mine from high school, he quit within 60 days. And I was calling him to say, hey, I want to do this, what can we do? And he was never really interested in doing anything, and yet he's the one that told me about it. So if I would have just said, oh, well, my sponsor's quitting, I don't have any support, I'd be just like where everybody else is. If I'd have been like, oh, I've talked to everybody I know and I'm still not making money, I'd be just where everybody else is. I mean, I didn't even run a check for 6 months. I easily could have quit. And it wasn't because I'm better than anybody else. It was literally just because I didn't have any other options. I didn't know what else to do, so I just kept doing it. And I built up a frustration, and my frustration led to, instead of quitting, it led to a journey of trying to find out what I could do. And so it led to a journey of going around and meeting with other successful network marketers and asking them what they did. And then trying to put this together and try that and try that and try that. And that whole trial and error. And what I've tried to do over the years, a lot of times people think the best way to learn is through experience. That's not necessarily true. That is a way to learn. But when you learn through your own experience, you have all that trial and error. The best way to learn is through somebody else's experience. And so what I try and do is give people my experience and what I learned over the last 20 plus years of doing this for a full-time basis and being able to create those incomes of 6 figures a month and helping people to create incomes of 6 figures a week. The incomes are unbelievable. As you'll see here in a second, it doesn't take what people think it takes to be successful. Belief, consistency. That is 100% it. So I'm going to go through like 4 or 5 different ways that this can all happen, because there's never just one way to do it. But here's just an example. Build full-time income in your spare time. 3 invites per day. How long do you think that would take? An invite, what we're talking about, could be a text message, could be a message on Facebook, a message on Instagram, an email, a personal phone call, a voicemail. There's all different types of ways that you can invite people. It doesn't take that long. So 3 invites a day doesn't take very long. That would be 90 invites per month. Typically, with 90 invites, you should get at least 4 enrollments. In reality, probably much more than that. It is possible that you could do way more invites than that and get 0 enrollments. But if that's the case, we know what you need to work on. You need to work on who you're inviting and what you're sending them to. But even if, as I said before, if I send 100 people information and I signed up 1 out of 100, that's a 1% sign-up rate. And sending 100 people information is very spare time. Yeah. If I could duplicate that little bit of effort, a lot of people have seen the power of 1. I'm not showing that presentation here today, but the power of 1 would end in 1 year's time. I sign up 1 person a month and I duplicate that effort. In 12 months, it would put me at over, it actually put me at right what I'm going to show. Put you at over $100,000 per month, which would put you at over $1 million per year. Wow. So, what does it take to make $1 million per year in network marketing? You can do that in your spare time with a 1% sign-up rate if you can duplicate that. It's not that difficult to duplicate, but most people's perception, that belief that I was talking about, is so far different than I can have success. I can make $1 million per year in network marketing by signing up 1 person per month and duplicating that. So let's look at the first month as 1 person. The second month is 3 people. The third month is 7 people. In 90 days and you have 7 people in your business, are you excited or not excited?
Excited.
Some people are excited, a lot of people are not excited because 7 people not even paying half of your order back. You're making like $7 or $8 bucks. And you're spending maybe $100. And so I'm not too excited because I'm doing everything they said for 90 days and I'm making like $8. So I quit. But I didn't really realize that just consistency and continuing to duplicate that, I'm on path to $1 million a year. And if they don't quit, they become less consistent. They don't sign up a person every month anymore. They don't sign up all those different types of things. So again, the belief and the consistency are the most important things. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show 2 different things. This is what Boomy is talking about. This is what we build everything around, because you don't need to understand anything but this. If I can understand that I get started with a car bonus pack, any one of them, for $79.95 to $89.95, and I find 4 people, doesn't matter how many people I have to invite to find 4, I just keep inviting until I get 4. And then I work with those 4 and I teach them the same thing. So that 4 who get 4, you can see right here, there's 4 people, they each have 4, that's a total of 20. That's going to get you a $500 bonus every single month as long as they continue to order, in addition to the rest of your compensation. So actually it's going to put you at over $600 a month. If you understood what $600 per month is on a worldwide scale, I think that you'd have a little trouble sleeping about this opportunity, because there's probably 80% of the world population of 7 point whatever billion people. Probably 80% of them make around $600 or less per month, U.S. So when you look at this as an international company, which we are, and you realize that when we talked about 300 million people in the U.S., there's not a ton of them that are living on a full-time income of $600 a month. There's some people, obviously, that are. But internationally, you have Mexico, Central America, South America. You have most of the continent of Africa. You have most of Southeast Asia. You have all of Russia and the CIS countries. You have India. You have China. That's about 80% of the world's population. The average income there is between 100 and 700 US dollars per month. So you understand that by teaching this little group of 20 on a global basis, you can get people to a full-time income of 20 people. And we're talking billions of people, that's a full-time income. And so typically if you're making a full-time income, are you more excited or less excited than just a little extra income? Extra income is nice, but a full-time income is a whole different ballgame. Now, if I take that and people understand that, is there anybody that doesn't understand that? I help 4, and then I help them get 4. Does that make sense? Yes. So that's a group of 20. If I duplicate that one time, meaning I take this group of 20, that's going to be 4 people, and they each have 4. So now to duplicate that, I'm going to take those 16 new people and teach them how to do that. Does that make sense? Yeah. So we teach those 16 people how to get that group. That's going to put you at about $2,000 to $3,000 per month. So I duplicate this one time. That's going to get me to about $2,000 to $3,000 a month. That's what Boomy is talking about, just that little bit of extra income. If I duplicate this 2 times, that's going to put me at about $50,000 per month. So if I don't know anything more than just 4 who get 4, and I duplicate that once, $2,000 to $3,000 a month, I duplicate that one more time, $50,000 a month. Do I really need to know anything else about the compensation plan?
No.
You really don't.
You really don't.
So I'm going to break it down in a different way, because you don't have to get 4. I already did the power of 1. So the first way I talked about making enormous money is the power of 1. Sign up 1 person a month and duplicate it. The second way is focus on this. Start with your own 4 who get 4. Duplicate it once, get to $2,000 to $3,000 a month. Duplicate it again, get to 50. Right? Now we're going to go over one more. And again, it all starts with you. So you get started. And belief and consistency, but doing what? What do you need to be consistent doing? Inviting, right? Then once you invite, the next step is validate. So you need to be consistent in the enrollment process, which is inviting, validating, and enrolling. So that's what we're consistent in. And we do it as long as it takes to get 2 people. And I'm just doing it on residual income. Even though the fast start you would have made way more than $6, I'm just talking about residual income right here, because that's what we want. Do we want to get paid only when we work, or do we want to get paid every single month, month after month after month? Several times. I'm trying to think of when it was. I think it was maybe February or March. We went to a training, and Travis came with me, and a couple friends from Seattle came with me, and we were golfing in San Diego, and it was just an absolutely beautiful day. It's like 70 degrees, blue sky, on one of the nicest golf courses in the world, and we're sitting there, and I make the comment, I says, isn't this life just absolutely amazing? I mean, we're sitting here in one of the most beautiful places on the planet, playing golf, and every single one of us is making money right now. Wow. I mean, think about that type of a business. Yeah. Everything that I'm doing, I'm making money. When I'm watching college football on Saturday morning, I'm making money. When I'm watching NFL football on Sunday, I'm making money. When I'm up here presenting, guess what? I'm making money, but I'm not making any more money. If I wasn't even in Greensboro, if I was asleep, or if I was out on the lake in my boat or something like that, guess what? I'm making money. The same amount as I'm making being here. I'm here 100% out of choice, because I want to support Boomy, I want to support everybody here, and I'm passionate about this opportunity and helping people. That's why I'm here. I'm not here to make any more money. I don't make any more money if I'm here or not. Even if I don't even have Lure Life, it's not that big of a deal in my life. I don't even take income from Lure Life. So I'm not trading Lure Life for me to go out and make money. I don't even take money from Lure Life. Lure Life didn't pay for my plane ticket. I didn't take money from, I don't even have a corporate card. My card is my personal card. So I'm not saying that to try and act like I'm a good person or anything like that, but I do want people to really understand I'm here because I want to be here. I'm here because I'm passionate about the business, and passionate about giving other people the opportunity that I took advantage of. Because I guarantee you, every single person in this room is as qualified or more qualified than I was to make money in the business. I didn't have money to start. I didn't have a job. Minimum wage in 1992 was $4.25 an hour. I didn't have a job. I was a college student. I didn't have a credit card. I didn't have a debit card. I didn't have long distance on my phone. The only way I could call long distance is call my parents collect. So I didn't have a great way to start the business. Do you think people listen to an 18-year-old college kid? No. Think my parents joined the business because I called them? My parents didn't even join. I have 2 brothers and 2 sisters that are all very successful. None of them joined my business. My own brothers and sisters and parents didn't even join. I didn't have any cousins, any aunts, uncles. 0 family members joined my business. And none of them have still joined my business. Now they work in my business, but as an employee, not as a, you know what I mean? But it's different. They're not going to, I'm the youngest of 5. They're not looking to me for anything, right? What do I know? And that's how kind of everybody was when I'm 18 years old. It was very difficult. Even my friends, they kind of like the idea, but are they going to go strike up conversation and talk to people and do all the things that they're asked to do and to build a network marketing company when they're 18, 19? Or are they just going to go hang out and go to the frat parties and go to the football games and do that type of stuff? It's difficult. And it's going to be the same for you guys. It's difficult. It's not easy. The business itself is easy, but to stay consistent in something that takes time is difficult.
Not easy.
To keep your beliefs when it's not working the way that you thought it is difficult. That's what's hard about the business. Inviting people is not hard. Validating the whole process isn't hard. The hard thing is to stay consistent and to keep your beliefs up when it's not going as fast as you thought. So again, I invite people, I validate until I get 2. That's going to create $6. Now, that time frame is whatever you make that time frame. That time frame can be 1 week, can be 1 day, can be 1 month, can be a quarter. It doesn't matter. We'll just say for this presentation that it's 1 month. And we're not even saying you get 2 every month. This is just saying you got 2 business builders that duplicated and followed the system. So as this continues on, this would be 4 months. That's going to put you to about $100. And again, There's way easier ways to make $100 in this company than what I'm showing. That 4 who get 4 is 20 people, which this is more than 20 people. But that residual income of $100 in 4 months is just I got 2, they got 2, which is 4 more. They got 2, which is 8 more. They got 2, which is 16. Now I have a group of 30. I'm making $100 residual. Does that make sense? Everybody with me? And if I got 2 my first month and they got 2 their first month, this is 4 months. Not bad, but not super exciting. That continues on. No, nobody's done anything different. I'm not getting 2 every month. If I was getting 2 every month, they don't double, they don't triple, the numbers get unbelievable. So we're not even showing things that are like crazy numbers. But again, what makes it so difficult is that consistency and keeping your beliefs up when it's not working. So again, 2,400 in 8 months, 8 weeks, 8 days, 8 hours, whatever time frame you give it. There's no limit. It could take you a full quarter, 90 days to get 2 people, and you duplicate that. Still in that case, what I'm going to show you is still like a 3-year plan. I mean, do you know many opportunities in 3 years, the money that I'm going to get at here in a second? I'm pausing here a little bit because now the money, this is all kind of believable. Now it starts to get a little unreal, and we're not even getting into the compensation plan. Wow. This is the 2-team only. Now you have $48,000 a month. Again, if it took you a full quarter to find 2 people, and I want you to get in your mind that you wouldn't be upset if it took a full quarter to find 2, because we're not talking about just 2 people. We're not talking about 2 customers. We're not talking about 2 distributors. We're talking about 2 duplicators. Does that make sense? So let's say it takes you a full 90 days to find 2 people that are actually going to take it serious. Maybe that's realistic, right? But still, we're talking about in 3 years' time. So I went to college 1992 to 1996, 4 years' time. I got my bachelor's degree in psychology. My minor is physical education. And what did that get me? Got me a degree, got me potential, where I could maybe get a job. Are there a lot of jobs out there at the bachelor's in psychology? No. There's not a lot of jobs in a bachelor's. Maybe if you, even a master's. You get a PhD, and then you're still looking at maybe a $60 to maybe $100, maybe $120,000 job with a PhD in psychology. Obviously, there's some that might make more or something like that, but it's not a ton of jobs in that. Now, I'd already made up my mind that I wanted to do this type of a business, and literally when I got my degree, my junior year, I had changed my major 3 times already. I literally just looked through the guidebook and said what I needed the least amount of credits to graduate, because I at least wanted to get my degree. You don't go to school and not get a degree. That doesn't make any sense to me. I'm one that tries to finish anything that you start, right? So I got my degree in psychology. Now, it took me 4 years, and it cost me money. They didn't pay me while I was going to school. And books are hundreds of dollars just for one book. And so a lot of people maybe going through that or have kids or grandkids that are going through that. You know, school's not cheap. And in 3 years, is anybody making $50,000 a month from going to college? They're making 0 from going to college. They're paying money to go to college. They're making 0. Now, why would this take 3 years? It would take 3 years if it took me a full quarter, it took me a full 90 days to find 2 people to duplicate. It's not unrealistic. It's probably close to what my actual plan was. About 3 years to go from nothing. I had to learn a lot. I didn't have somebody that just said, hey, the best way to learn is through other people's experience. This is what I did, follow it. I didn't have that. What we were taught was get a memory jogger out, make a list of 50 people, 3-foot rule, go talk to people at the gas station, go talk to people at anywhere you go, strike up conversation. I'm not saying that that's good, but I will tell you 100% that didn't work for me. I think it didn't work for me because I was an 18-year-old college student. What I did is I started working only with network marketers, other people that were already looking for opportunity. And that worked for me, but some people, other things work for. There's not any one thing. But now we throw in the rest of the compensation plan, which is the matching bonuses, the lifestyle bonus. This doesn't even qualify you for the car bonus, right? Because that's the 4 who get 4. You only got 2. But this would qualify you for every other bonus and everything else in the compensation plan. This is what it takes to get to $100,000 per month. Now, $100,000 per month is not the minimum. Boomy said to show you how to get to 20, but the thing is, to get to 20, you just stop earlier. I mean, it's like the same thing to make $100 is the same thing to make $100,000. When you understand this business is, again, your beliefs. You got to understand that. Your beliefs are really what your business is about.
So true.
And being able to be consistent when you start to doubt your beliefs. It's easy to be consistent when you're all hyped up, when you're all excited.
Yeah.
It's easy to be consistent for the first week or the first 2 weeks or the first month. But then when you get that check and it's $6, then it's a little bit harder to keep those beliefs up. And your spouse or your significant other or everybody else is telling you that it's not going to work, it doesn't work, all these things. Then it gets to be a little bit more difficult to believe your beliefs, right? You start to doubt your beliefs. As soon as you start doubting your beliefs, it affects your consistency. As soon as your consistency is affected, it affects your business.
Yeah.
And so here's what is crazy. Now, we don't go and do anything that different. We just go and show these people how to qualify for the car bonus. And so we go and just find 2 more people each. And now and this income's even low. And I don't want to do stuff this is almost unbelievable for most people. That's $200,000 a week, not $200,000 a month. And the income's actually significantly higher than that. There's just very few people in the history of network marketing that have been able to duplicate at that type of a level. So I'm saying it's not very realistic that it happens, but can it happen? Of course it can. Can it happen for you? Of course it can. Will it happen for you?
Of course
if you don't make any changes? Right?
Yes.
So if you go back the last 5 or 10 years, how much has your life changed for the better? For a lot of people, not a lot.
Not much.
Some people a lot. But if you just look at the average person, it hasn't changed that much.
No.
Right now with all the political stuff like that, and so we went through President Obama, which is probably more people liked him than maybe any other president ever. Was their life really any that much different?
Nope.
No.
Well, it wasn't that much different.
No.
Trump may be the most hated president ever, the most controversial. Probably not the most hated because it's kind of like that 50-50, 50% hate him, 50% like him.
60-40.
But in that case, since he's been president, has anybody's life changed that much? Maybe some people's, but most people not. It's not that big of a difference. What is the difference? You. We have the control. And that's good or it's bad. It's good if things are going bad, but you don't want to take the responsibility and realize that you are where you are because of your beliefs, because of your consistency. That's why you are where you are.
That's it.
Not because you're not capable of doing better. And again, I'm speaking to the wrong crowd, right?
Right.
The people I should be speaking to right now are all the
Not
people that were invited and said they're coming that didn't
Right.
come.
Yeah.
You guys already are the ones that raised your hand and are here. So anytime we do these presentations, it's almost like, man, we're giving this presentation to the wrong people because you already are the leaders, you already are the ones. But even the leaders, it maybe aren't exactly at the level you want to be at.
Right.
Right.
So what I'm trying to do is up those beliefs that it's possible for you. Because I can't build it for you, I can't do it for you. But if I can get you to believe that you can do it, if I can help with those beliefs and I can help with that consistency, everything else works. We already have people in the company that have sponsored hundreds of people. We have people in the company that have sponsored over 1,000 people personally. So when we're talking about sponsoring 2, I mean, good grief. There's dozens of people in this room that have sponsored probably 50. But the key that's frustrating is it's not the 50 people you sponsor, it's that creating that duplication.
Right.
But creating that duplication is still more in your control than you may think. By holding your team accountable and working with them and pushing them a little bit harder. Most people that join this business are employees, meaning they work for somebody else. Not a bad thing, right?
Right.
When you work for somebody else, what typically happens every day? Somebody tells you what to do.
Same old.
And if people, I'll just say, speaking as an employer, if you don't tell people what to do, I'm not saying anybody in this room, what do they typically do?
Nothing.
Nothing. Exactly. So in our group, every single day when they go to work, people are telling them what to do, and if they didn't tell them what to do, they would do nothing. And then we bring them into a business and expect all that to change overnight. It's not going to change. So we need to be that one that's pushing them. When I got started in the business, I did nothing. In my upline, not my sponsor, my upline will call me and say, I didn't even write out my why. That was the first thing they said to do, and I didn't do it. In fact, I didn't even do it for like 3 months. And I talked to very few people when I first got started. I talked to my parents, I talked to my brothers and sisters, because my original belief was everybody I know is going to want to do this. As soon as I talked to everybody I know and almost none of them wanted to do it, what happened? I started to doubt my beliefs. And so what did? I did nothing. I didn't quit yet, but I wasn't building the business. I didn't have that consistency. And then I finally made that decision that, hey, I got to do something. I got to do something to bring in some extra income, because even though I'm going to go to school, I'm going to get my degree, the odds of me absolutely loving my job and getting up every single morning isn't very good. So if I don't do something about it, that's the life I'm going to have. And what that affects every one of your relationships, right? There's a divorce rate close to 60% in the U.S. because of stress, because of money, because of all these things. The person that at least one time in your life you cared about more than anybody else, sometimes you can't even keep that relationship together because of life.
Right.
Not because you don't like that person or you hate that person or this, that, or the other. It's all these other things. So I want you to realize my sole purpose of creating the company is to try and create a model that I feel more people have the opportunity to duplicate and retain and build a business. And there's no magic. I wish I could just sit up here and tell everybody, this is the secret, do this and you'll make all the money. It's not a secret. It's the belief, it's the consistency. And if you stay consistent, I still, 26 years in this business, working with thousands and tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands of distributors. I still know 0 people that have followed the system that I've laid out for at least 2 years that aren't making 6 figures. I know 0 people. I don't even know 1. I know a lot of people that I've enrolled and have been in my companies and stuff like that have been in the company for more than 2 years and aren't making that money. But I know 0 that are doing the things that are in our guidebook and building their list and cultivating their list and doing all those things. I know 0. I know a bunch that are making 6, and I know a bunch that are making 7, and I know some that are making 8 figures that have followed that exact same system that we put together for all the distributors. So take that for what it's worth. You know, again, your success is dependent on you, not me. But I want to create the opportunity so that you have the chance to achieve whatever your goals are. So I think for most people, their financial side, this would pretty much take care of it. And this is just an example. There is no max income. The max income is unlimited.
Right.
So we just happen to stop here. If we just went on one more month, guess what? You start to notice something, that those incomes are more than doubling every single step. So just one more month, think you're making more money or less money. One more month, and one more month, and one more month. Carry this out very far, it's not long before you're $1 million a day. So again, most people, the duplication is so hard to create, it's not realistic. Even this type of income is possible, but most people don't get to it. And it's not even because they don't do what's necessary. You got to get that whole team duplicating. Right. And that takes but to get to 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 10,000, doable for everybody, no question. We already went over the get paid to lose. We're going to go over some of this stuff later. And that's basically it.
All right.